Jesse Sensei, yes, sir. Nice to see
What's
you.
up, karate nerds? Today I'm joined by the one and only Sensei Ando. Now, for those out there who are not familiar with your work, do you mind just giving a quick 1 minute overview of who you are and what you do?
Thank you, Jesse Sensei. Honored to be here. Ando, male, United States. Started in Taekwondo, some Aikido, drifted into Kung Fu and BJJ. Love all martial arts. I see value in everything and everyone. I'm on a mission till the day I die to spread martial arts and build bridges and make this world a better place. How about you?
Amen. Okay, so now what I really want to focus on today, and of course you have a lot to share, which all of your followers and fans, I'm sure, are well aware of. However, what interests me right now is the fact that you actually made your own style of martial arts, or your own system that you're teaching and sharing with people. So what I'm wondering is, how did you come to this conclusion? Why did you make your own style, and what has the experience been so far?
Well, that's a huge question, and I haven't really publicly talked about my system because I know how that sounds. Like,
so
who
this
is this?
World exclusive.
This is a world exclusive that we're talking about. This Ando Fu, yeah. Thanks for pulling it out of me. Yikes. The real question is, why hasn't everybody started their own system? That's the question.
Interesting.
Now, of course, in the beginning, it's not anyone's place to start a system. And I, like you, I'm sure you get many emails or comments from people who say, oh, I did 6 months of this and 3 months of that, and I've now created my own hybrid modern martial arts system. It's the best ever. And you think, well,
alert.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, we could talk about McDojos in another time if you want. Anyway, but at some point in the learning, you should not be copying your teachers. You should not be a mimic. You are not a carbon copy or a robot. The whole point is you're an artist. You're a martial artist. If you're a musician, you're not expected to just keep playing box pieces. You write your own music, unless you're just a performing monkey, then that's fine. If you're a painter, you can study with some great masters and they will influence your technique. But at some point, you are supposed to be painting your own pieces. You can't just be copying theirs. That would be a forger. So martial arts is no different. In the sphere of fighting and self-defense, you are influenced by all of your teachers. You should seek as much information and not reinvent the wheel and figure out what's been going on. But at some point, you've got to step up and say, okay, well, now here's mine. Here's what I do. Here's the exercises that I like. Here are the philosophies I believe in. Here are the priorities in my training day. And share that the best you can without any attachment to thinking that you're supposed to create mimics of you or copies of you. You give your students the same freedom to discover things the way you have. So at some point, if you've been in martial arts for many, many years and you have the power to go out and share that stuff and influence other people, how can you not put your own brand on that and say, here's my twist on this style? Even if you're within the umbrella of, okay, I still do Shotokan or I still call myself Wado-Ryu or something. Okay, but it's got to be yours. And I think if you go back historically, that's why you find so many styles. And there's village styles and there's family names and there's individual names on the style. It's never just this one big term that covers everybody like we're all robots in one big group think. That's just not the way art is meant to be. Right. Would you agree with that, or am I in big trouble here?
You're definitely not in big trouble. And I think that a lot of what you say resonate with me, because it feels like no matter who you are, you already have your own style due to the fact that you're a human being and we all have different thumbprints, right? So why wouldn't the way we do martial arts be different as well and uniquely personal to us? So what made you actually put a label or a stamp on that and say, this is the system I'm gonna go with, instead of just saying, I do karate like I do? Since I call myself a karate nerd, right? I have this idea of there's so much under the umbrella of karate, and I can't pick and choose what I want to have in a system. So I'm just gonna do it all till the day I die, just like you. But at what point or how did you kind of come to this conclusion of this is what my system is gonna be all about? Because I'm having a hard time with that. Even right now, when I teach a seminar, I can barely decide what to share because there's so much.
Well, I think one answer is age. At some point, your body will start to make decisions for you.
I'm still young and dumb. You're old and handsome.
Young and brilliant. Yeah, I mean, at some point, your body will help shape those decisions.
Right.
The second way, I think, is when you wake up and you start training, you have to just look at, well, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Am I doing this because my teacher told me I should always do this? Or am I doing this because I keep seeing results from this? Do I feel that I'm getting more effective from this? Has this changed my life? And at some point, you're going to have that catalog, if you're honest with yourself and you're reflecting on your training and not just going through motions because you were told to. But if it's personal, once you start looking at that list of things that you really have benefited from, well, those are the things you're going to keep reinvesting in. And over time, those things can change. It's a flexible thing. It's not written in stone because you're a person. So your goals change, your capabilities change. But at some point, when you look at your list of your thumbprint of training, like you say, that's your style. That is, whether you meant to do it or not, that's what you got. So sharing, if you're a teacher, all you're doing is just turning around and saying, hey, you guys are welcome to follow me with what I'm doing. Maybe it's not for you, or maybe you're not ready for this yet, or maybe you're already past this. All I'm going to do is invite you into my dojo, show you what I'm doing. And if this resonates with you and if it helps you, then stay. And if it doesn't, well, I hope we can still be friends and have a piece of pie sometime. But that's all. So
not pie, carrot cake.
Carrot cake. Yes, sir.
So
far inferior to pie.
So I once practiced with a master in Okinawa, and he said that every technique that he does exists in 3 versions. He said that there is the version he teaches to his students. There is the version the student then does. And then finally, there is the 3rd version, which is what he does in his personal practice.
Very nice.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So where do you see that? How do you define your techniques, or how to teach something, or how a person can progressively advance through this system? Is there just one way to do everything, or do you allow for some slack in your system, some way to grow or some flexibility? Because is a system static, or is it ever growing as you learn more as a teacher, right? Should the system grow with you, or does it stay and you grow up separately from it? How does that work?
Sure. Well, there were a lot of things to talk about in that. Every system has changed. I mean, if you take Shotokan, which is not particularly old, right? Yep. That style has changed in huge ways over time, right?
Don't even
once
know.
They got, what's that?
And people don't even know it.
Well, that would be a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem, right? I mean, everything has changed, whether they know it or not. So, like I said, you're changing whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
So whether because you're older, because you're ego, or because you have fear of things, or you're constantly, as an organism, changing. So isn't the whole point of martial arts the self-knowledge and the self-reflection, so you can clearly see who I am, what I can do, and then let that affect, it's going to affect your martial arts. The people that are the saddest as human beings and then as martial artists are the ones who are not self-aware and are still trying to play out some role that they developed in their teens or their 20s, and they're still trying to dress that way or sound that way, or, you know, be hip and go to the club, but you're 50 years old and you can't dance anymore. I mean, that's the saddest kind of human being, the ones who resist the change.
That is so true.
Right? And with martial artists, and that becomes, you know, the guy who stands around and they don't really train anymore, and they say, oh, my back hurts, or, you know, or gee, you should do more. They're highly critical, but you never see them doing anything. They don't make mistakes. They're not really sharing new experiences. They're just talking about their glory days.
Right.
And again, I'm empathetic. We're all human beings. So, hey, do what you got to do to get through this crazy thing. But as a role model for learning and growing, like you said, and being flexible and changing, I think you're in the wrong business if that's who you are. You have to be the one, above all else, above any technique or philosophy or style. As a human being, you must stand there and say, hey, I make mistakes. Hey, I'm still learning. Hey, I'm excited about training. Hey, right. I like meeting you and learning from you too. It's a two-way street. So if you're not that kind of person, I don't think you should be in the business of teaching martial arts.
I agree completely. So if I would create a system, here's what I would do. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would, and I assume you did the same. You started from the end. What is the goal of this system? Why am I doing this, right? Is it for people to become world champions? Is it a sport? Or is it for people to become better human beings? Or is it for people to be excellent street fighters or be able to beat down thugs in a pub or whatever. So what is the goal of your style, and why did you create it this way?
Well, I'm definitely not a sports guy. I have no trophies to speak of.
Not that I can see.
I got no contracts. I have no endorsements of any kind. Yeah, look, I was just a guy looking for direction when I was young, and martial arts not only gave me the physicality and the comfort with my own body. I'm a guy who couldn't make a football team or a wrestling team or a track team.
Yeah.
I'm not like a super elite athlete, but martial arts gave me a place to explore the body and explore my feelings when I'm getting hit, or I have to be the one to hit. So my thinking as a teacher, and what I would hope that my style, whatever that is absolutely first and foremost developing you as a human being so that you're comfortable in your own skin, you're honest with who you are. And then the second layer down from that is, well, then how does that affect your fighting? People get it wrong in the martial arts, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's not that, oh, I'm a martial artist and I'm this, and then I do a style. It's like, well, before you do a style, before you're a martial artist, you're a human being.
Yeah.
So anything you do at that level of your existence, whether it's your spirituality, it's your morality, it's your self-love, your esteem, your confidence, the way you treat people in relationships, all of that will show up in your martial arts, and then that'll affect which styles you train in and which club you train in. Then it all just trickles down from there.
Yeah.
So people get it wrong. So if I say, well, which style is the best? It's like, dude, don't even talk to me about styles when you don't even know who you are.
Right.
Like, how can you pick a style until you know what you're fighting for? Right. Do you want money? Do you want fame? Are you just looking to have abs? Do you care about your mother and just protecting your family? What are we talking about here? Once you kind of go into your personal issues, then I think the martial arts part is in the proper priority in your life. It's not, oh, I do Taekwondo and all I do is Taekwondo and I'm a Taekwondo person, but you're a hurting human being and you've got all these insecurities that are just hurting your martial arts too. You got to go to the big questions.
So how can one find the answer to that big question? How can you know who you are and develop that self-awareness?
Pain.
That's
pain. It's all about pain.
How come?
You got to eat bitter. That's where I think the martial arts are the best. Yoga, dance, gymnastics, meditation on its own. These are all wonderful tools. I'm for anything that will make someone's life better. So don't get me wrong. But I still believe that martial arts is the greatest technology for self-improvement ever devised, because it, at its heart, if it's done right, deals with life and death. You are constantly being asked, what are you going to do if this is your life now ending? Or how do you feel when you're the one who has to end someone else's life?
Yeah.
These are the extremes of martial arts training, not just how do I stop myself from being killed, but how would I kill if I had to? Once you know yourself on both ends of that spectrum, life and death, then I think everything else becomes very clear. You're going to have to, at some point, make peace with your God, make peace with the universe, make peace with other people, understand relationships better, understand yourself better, because that's the best stuff. So for me, the answer is pain and the challenge of facing death. Okay. Or you tap. Everything comes out in those two sides of the exercise of martial arts. If you don't have those two things, then I don't think you're really doing martial arts. And that's where it could get a little controversial. Like, okay, well, if it's not martial, then how is it martial arts? Martial, we're talking about warfare, killing and being killed. If we're not talking about those things, it may be a great physical fitness program. You may have a great time, and that's fine. Again, do whatever you got to do. That's why I'm not even really against the idea of a McDojo. There's a difference between fraud and if you're just ripping people off with contracts and money, that could be any business. So everything's a McDojo. Yeah. On the other hand, I don't care what style you do or what, as long as you're honest about what you're teaching and people are benefiting from it, then I hate when people call other schools a McDojo. Did you ever notice that everybody loves to throw around that term McDojo, but nobody seems to actually be attending one? So, oh, my school's not a McDojo. Their school's a McDojo. Oh, yeah? Okay. Yeah, well, me too. Yeah, their school's a McDojo, but not mine. It's funny. No one actually seems to be in a McDojo, but everyone else's is. It's curious. Anyway, that's my rant. Dying and being and killing. That's what makes martial arts amazing for figuring out who you are and what you have to offer in this world.
Meaning your style is going to be pretty brutal.
You start with a knife and you put it on your own throat. You just have a standoff for an hour. Who's going to flinch first?
First lesson.
First lesson, knife to the throat.
Okay, so I think it's time to wrap this up.
Okay.
So some final words. Where do you see this system moving towards the future? Like, how do you see this thing unfolding? What is your vision with your own style?
Oh, what will probably happen is that no one will notice and my website will get no visits and I will die penniless and thrown into a ditch like Mozart in a sack. That's probably how this is going to end.
We got this video as proof now, so at least people can know what you attempted to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll go down swinging. That's the whole point here, right? Again, look, I'm just a guy. I'm nothing special, but I do believe in martial arts. It changed my life. I'm just going to try to share as many things as I can to maybe help someone change someone else's life. My vision for that will be, as much as I can, the technology of online learning makes that first couple of steps really easy. I'd be an idiot or irresponsible to not share on these platforms. That's what the website and YouTube's all about.
Yeah.
But the next stage would be, of course, I want to be in the room with people. Yeah. If you're not in the room with people, martial arts has a real limitation on what you can teach. All the best teachers I've ever had, you know how this goes. There's that traditional idea that when the teacher chooses you to show the technique on, that is like the underground way of actually showing you the technique. Right. You teach everybody, hey, everybody, blah, blah, hold your hand like this, grab the guy like that. Yeah. But when the teacher says, come here, I'm going to do it on you, that is like the underground way of saying, I'm only really showing this to you because you're going to feel it. Beyond words, you're going to feel this in your body, from my body, and that is the gift that martial arts gives us that video just can't cut. So my vision would be to welcome everybody through an online beginning, and then hopefully, however, I can set up seminars and traveling around and whatever, people come to me and we can do camp experiences like yours. That's why I love the camp experience is just so cool, the Karate Nerd experience. If you don't bring those people together, and I know your frustration must be that you can't do more of them or have more people at them, but the fact that you kept it intimate, the fact that you do it very selectively so that everyone has a quality experience, to me, that's it. So I think that's the best way you can possibly do things. You've got it all already figured out, right? Your model is fantastic. You've got a huge welcome mat out on the internet, and you've got a wonderful little home base that you can bring people into to actually touch and interact with. So my hat's off to you, sir. You're doing it all correctly.
Thanks for your kind words, Sensei Ando. This was a fantastic interview. I want to just thank you for your time, your experience, sharing your expertise. And if any karate nerd out there listening to this has any questions, just leave a comment, let us know, and me and Sensei Ando will have a look and give you an answer as soon as we can. Because I'm curious to know, what do other people think about this idea of developing their own style? Leave a comment and let us know. And again, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.